Let's talk about finalizing test sessions. But first, let's look at the process that the proctor follows for testing. When the proctor starts the session, all student names are in the Start window. Initially, each student's icon shows that they are offline, which just means that they have not logged in yet for testing. Once the students log in, their icons will change from offline to saying that they are waiting. Once all the students have logged in, the proctor clicks on the Start button, which will start the test up for all students. The students begin with the first subtest, which for most levels is vocabulary. When the students finish that first subtest, they log out, and then they will have to log in again to take the next subtest. So once they log in the second time, the proctor will click on Start and will start this session for the logged in students. Once all the students have finished testing, their icons move to the Finished window, showing that they are completed. When all student icons for this session are in this Finished window, the proctor has one last task, and that's to click on the button that says Finalize Session. Clicking on Finalize Session is what sends all the tests to Riverside for scoring. So when you click on Finalize Session, you will then get a message showing you how many students have been submitted for scoring, and you click OK. But let's look at some scenarios that may occur while you're testing. You may be testing over a few days, and at the end of your testing time, most of your students have finished testing, and their names are here in the Finished window. But you may have a student or two who've been absent the entire time you've been testing, and their names are still here in the Start window. These students have not tested at all. You do not have to finalize the session right now. You can wait a day or so and see if this student returns to school. If they do, they would log in to GMRT Online. Their icons would change to waiting. The proctor would click on Start. The student would take all subtests related to the test level that they are assigned. And then when the student finishes those, their icon will move to the Finish window along with the rest of the students, and then you can finalize the session. So again, you can wait a few days to finalize a session, waiting until all students have completed all subtests, and then finalize the session. And once again, you would get the message that all of your students had been submitted for scoring. But suppose you know that this student has moved, or the student is going to be out for some time, and you do not want to wait to finalize the session for the student to return. Or again, maybe the student has moved and will not be returning. If you click on Finalize Session with any student still in the Start window, that student will automatically be marked as absent and will be available for a makeup test. Now, if the student has moved, you will not need to include the student in a makeup test. But if the student is just out for a while and then returns to school, a makeup session can be created for this student to test. But let's look at another scenario. So you may have a student who's only taken part of the test. Their icon is still in the testing window. You cannot finalize a session if there's still a student in the testing window. But again, you can wait to finalize the session to see if the student will return to school. If and when she does, she logs in, the proctor clicks on Start to start the test up for the student, and then when the student completes that subtest, her icon will move to the Finished window with all the other students. The proctor can click on Finalize Session. But again, if you know that this student has since moved or is going to be out for some period of time, the only way to finalize a session with a student still in the testing window is to double-click on the student's icon and to void that subtest. The student has a valid vocabulary test. She's taken that and it's completed, but she has not begun the comprehension subtest. So if I click on Void Subtest, a box will pop up asking me to give a reason for why I'm voiding it. I would type something in there, click on OK, and then the student's icon will move to the finished window, showing her as voided. All I have voided is a subtest, but she's in the finished window showing as voided. So now when I click on Finalize Session, it shows me that 15 of my 16 students have been submitted for scoring and that one has been marked for a makeup test because she had a voided subtest. She will only have to take comprehension as a makeup test because she has already completed vocabulary. So for makeup test in general, whoever has access to create test assignments will go to the Test tab and click where it says Create a Makeup Test to create a makeup test for any student who needs it.